people get involved in your campaign. They say, you know what, I love this woman. I love what she's doing. She's fighting for us. This is John Villarreal reporting for Conservative New Media.
We're going to be talking about Palin versus Mitt Romney. There's a new Gallup poll out that says that those guys are the top contenders for 2012. And we're going to take all kinds of other situations and topics today. So stay with us. But without any further ado, I want to get right to Ramesh Ponnuru about his new article in the National Review. You can check this out on National Review online, and this is The Corner. Ramesh, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be on.
Oh, fantastic. Now, tell me about this. This is called A Simpler Message on Taxes. And you basically tell the Republicans, stop messing around. Here's what you need to tell people on taxes. What is this about?
Yeah, I think sometimes conservatives and Republicans can get a little bit too much in the weeds on this one and fall into the trap that the Democrats have tried to set of talking about middle-class tax cuts versus upper-class tax cuts, etc. And I think the message should be pretty simple. Everybody's taxes are going up. They're going up in January, and it's the Democrats' fault.
Yeah.
Just think about it. They say they want to cut middle-class taxes. They have had total, complete power in Washington for almost 2 years. They have done nothing to keep taxes from going up. Everybody's known that they were scheduled to go up this coming January. They've done nothing. They haven't even introduced a bill.
It's crazy. It's unbelievable. And that's exactly right. They have all this rhetoric and talk. And meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi and Biden and Obama and Harry Reid and the rest of them, all they do is spend. And do you feel like that the Republicans are doing an okay job out there on the campaign trail? We've seen some success there, and I think a lot of that's because of the Tea Party. I mean, what's your take on just the whole insider versus outsider thing, the Christine O'Donnell thing, how Republicans in general are kind of delivering the campaign message and where they are at in terms of conservative values? Because a lot of people are afraid, hey, they get elected, they're not going to get it done. What's your take on all that?
Well, I come at this with pretty low expectations, so I think that Republicans are doing reasonably well. I think that the pledge to America that the House Republicans unveiled is a very good set of first steps.
Yeah, it's a start.
It's not the whole thing,
no.
But I think it's a good start. And I think it just sort of varies from campaign to campaign. I think that, a lot of the Senate candidates, Ron Johnson up in Wisconsin, for example, he's doing really well. I think he has to be now considered the favorite, likely to beat Russ Feingold finally.
Get Feingold out of here. We're sick of him.
I think Fiorina needs a little bit of work.
She needs some help.
California.
I'm going to try to help her out. I mean, that's the thing. We were just talking about that last week, about this whole situation of, California is in real trouble. And whether it's the, CRP leadership out here or some of these candidates or some of the campaigns or the consultant class, the way these campaigns are being run is really poor. If you can't win in this year, in this environment, with a Tea Party at your back and Obama in office and Reid and Pelosi, you can't ever win. I mean, do you feel any of that where you're standing over there back east? I mean, are you tuned into what's happening in California and maybe some of the lower performance situations here?
Well, it's important, so I do try to follow it. Up until this week, I would have said that Whitman was doing pretty well in the governor's race. I think she's made... I think at the end of the day, this illegal immigration thing is something of it's unfair. I don't think she's actually guilty of anything here, but I don't think she's handled it very well.
Right. And Mike Murphy's running that campaign. And the thing is like, look at that guy. Okay, he was too scared to actually go against Obama in the McCain campaign. If that doesn't tell you something right now, I mean, I don't know what does. And it's like, how much money can you spend and not be effective? And I like Meg Whitman. I think she's incredibly smart, incredibly competent CEO. I think she's done great things for this state and for this nation, but I think she's running a bad campaign. And I think that the people that are in charge of it are really doing her a disservice, in my personal opinion.
Well, I just think that if you're involved in some sort of pseudo-scandal, the last thing you want to do is have the words lie detector pass your lips.
That's a good point.
That's just, you've got to be a little bit more dismissive of the whole thing, I think.
So who do you like out there right now? I mean, who are the candidates that you're really, up on, and who are the politicians that you like on our side?
Well, there's such a huge number of new folks, and some of them. The great thing is that I don't even know their names yet, and I'm expecting to be surprised on election night by some folks. Of the people who are running, as I said already, I think that actually Ron Johnson's doing great and not really giving an inch on any of the issues.
Do you think that Sharon Angle's got a good shot out in Nevada?
Absolutely, I think so. I think at the end of the day, people, if the question is, do we want 6 more years of Harry Reid? I think Angle's going to win that race.
I agree with you. Do you have time to hang out for one more segment? We'd love to talk. Okay, great. We have so much more to talk about. I mean, this guy is an encyclopedia. He knows what's going on. Super cool dude with the National Review. I want to talk to him more with Ramesh Ponnuru on from the National Review, and I want to talk about Paul. I want to get into, on this next break, Ramesh, I want to get into more of this sort of handicapping 2010 races, because people are so focused on it, and we're very, very close to the situation here with the election. But I also want to get into a preview of 2012 and the whole lineup between Romney and Palin. Is she going to run? Is he going to run? Who else is running? And what's going to happen with the Tea Party movement? And what's going to happen with conservative values? Hey, we're still talking with Ramesh Ponnuru of the National Review, and he had a hot article out about a simpler message on taxes, and we talked about that, about Republicans, what they need to do. But I'm also want to get into all these races in 2010, and I'm looking in 2012 as well. So let's just finish up with 2010. And Ramesh, do you think that the Republicans are going to? I think everyone thinks that they're going to win the House, so I think that's a done deal. Do you agree with that?
I would be very careful about saying things like done deal. Conservatives need to not take anything for granted. But if I had to bet on it, I think that the Republicans pick up about 50 seats and do take the House. Yes. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, definitely, you got to go out there. You got to be energized. You got to vote. You got to run through the tape. But if it was, if I was a betting person, if the election were today, I'd say I agree with you. I think it's about 50 seats right there. What about the Senate? It's pretty close. I mean, you have Linda McMahon coming up. You have Christine O'Donnell. People try to write her off, but I don't think you can write her off. How do you see the Senate?
My bet would be a gain of 8 to 9 seats, which would get the Republicans to 50. So not a majority, but enough to make Joe Biden have to stay in the Senate all the time.
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong with that? And then it lines up for 2012. So let's talk about 2012. Let's talk about Sarah Palin versus Mitt Romney. I mean, what do you think? Who do you think is going to come out on the Republican side for that presidential race, and how do you handicap it at this early stage?
Yeah, well, if you don't know, just cast your mind back 4 years, same stage of the last presidential cycle, in 2005 and 2006. Okay. The Republicans were talking, certainly Republicans in Washington, as though the 2 leading candidates were Bill Frist and George Allen. Neither of them, not only did neither of them run, neither of them was even in public life by the time that the presidential race rolled around.
That's so true.
2007, Rudy Giuliani is the front runner in all the polls almost all year. Right?
And then he falls apart in the primaries. He had this weird strategy of waiting, and it was just crazy.
So let's not assume, I've heard people in recent weeks tell me that Mitt Romney's the front runner. I've heard people take Sarah Palin's the front runner. I would not assume it's going to be either one of them.
Well, look, wow, there we go. We got breaking news right there. Ramesh is predicting that neither one of them are going to be the front runner and going to be the nominee. I like that.
Now, I think this is wide open. It could be somebody we are not thinking about. It could be, people, I think, Tim Pawlenty has not set the world on fire since he started doing this, but I would not underrate him. Governor Daniels still is not really well known across the country, but I think he's got a real shot as well.
That's it. You know what? Let's bring Paul in here from Conservative Media, because I know he's got some questions for you as well, and I want to get his take on this. Now, Paul, what do you think about what Ramesh just said right there? He's saying that Sarah Palin is not going to be in this mix at the end. Now, I know you are really in touch with those Palin people, and you hear something different.
Look, I think Ramesh is making a great point, which is that it's wide open right now. Do I think that Sarah Palin has a good opportunity to be there? I do. But I know that somebody such as Bill Kristol of the Weekly Standard, who Ramesh knows well, it has said that he does not think that Romney will finish in the top 3 for the nominees. So
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, look, I voted for Romney over McCain in the primary out here, and I have a lot of respect for Mitt's business acumen and everything like that. But I think that he's got a lot of holes in him as far as the candidate goes. And there's a lot of people, establishment insiders versus the outsiders. There's a lot of these establishment people that, for a lot of reasons, are trying to push Mitt. And I'm telling you right now, in 2012, that dog will not hunt. There's no way that guy's going to be the nominee.
I think the passage of Obamacare was really, really damaging to Mitt Romney because it leaves that issue on the table, and his health care plan in Massachusetts was just too similar. I think that his primary challengers are going to have a field day pointing out those resemblances, and I'm not sure how Romney survives it.
No, I agree with you. And the thing is, too, is, I mean, how do you get excited about Mitt? I mean, he's a cool dude and everything like that, but how do you get excited about him? And I think that Republicans, that there is a new energy here that's been put in with the Tea Party, and there's a new energy with some of the younger people coming in, and this sort of this new crew, if you will, like us and Crowder and yourself and others and stuff. And it's like, dude, we're sick of seeing the McCains, the Bob Doles, and all these kind of folks running the same old tired campaign that are just going to lose against a guy like Obama who's not going to just lay down.
You know, let me give you a new name, somebody we haven't really heard of in the presidential context.
Yeah.
If I were Jim DeMint, I would give serious consideration to running after these elections are over.
The guy has had a good touch. There's a great point. I mean, he's very close to what Sarah Palin has done, but he's actually elected in office right there in the Senate, and he's got a lot of respect both from insiders and some outsiders. Although he has pissed some of the insiders off here with some of his recent things. I mean, do you think, Paul, that might hurt him?
It could, but I agree with Ramesh. Jim DeMint, I know some of the people that work on his staff. He's got an excellent staff, and if you'll recall, I know Ramesh will remember this, Jim DeMint was one of the first people early on to really take on the Obama administration. Yeah. Jim DeMint helped save democracy, in my opinion, in Honduras. He's got a great record.
We've covered that.
A strong operation.
Now, you know, the two names that I like a lot are Marco Rubio, and Governor Chris Christie. Governor Chris Christie is really coming up like a rocket. I think he's got credibility with independents and some people on the other side. He's doing great things there in New Jersey. I wouldn't sleep on him either.
Yes, that's right. And Rubio, if he wins, and I expect he will win, I think he will definitely be in the mix of vice presidential candidates next time around. I think he would be just a very attractive prospect for whoever wins the Republican nomination.
Now, I don't know how much you want to talk about this and how much, again, if you're not comfortable with something, you don't need to go out on a limb. I am the conservative outlaw. I'll do it. Paul will do it, but you don't have to. I mean, with Karl Rove, with what he said about Christine O'Donnell, how damaged is he, and where do you think that we are on this insider versus outsider? Because you've got people like myself, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, and others that are like saying, you know what, we're sick of these. Yeah. Right? And where are you at with that?
Well, I think the problem with Karl on this sort of thing is it's not like he's just some commentator like me.
Right?
I mean, he's also still in the game as a Republican strategist. And it's one thing to say, I don't like this candidate, I don't think she's going to win, if you're just somebody like me. If you are part of really Republican officialdom, it's a different thing. It's like an official statement. It's like, it's a much more political move. So I think it was very foolish of him to say it. But at the end of the day, he's out there raising money for Sharon Angle.
Yeah.
He's out there raising money for Marco Rubio. Mm-hmm. You go up and down this list. So I would say, my own view at least, is foolish move. Don't write the guy off just because he made one foolish move.
No, I'm not writing him off. I like Karl Rove a lot. My take is this.